You can have it all in this lifetime. The thriving career, the happy home, the nourishing friendships, the flourishing hobbies, the rich love life, the wealthy bank account. You can have it all in this lifetime, but maybe not at the same time. And maybe not without some drawbacks, sacrifices, and consequences here and there. We are operating in a Saturnian season. We gotta keep it real. And the danger of the astrology from January 5th to January 11th is that you can strive to do it all, be it all, and have it all at the same time. There is a huge danger this week of spreading your energy too thin, overcommitting yourself, and then feeling personally not enough because you were not able to maintain every element of your life perfectly. Operating in a Saturnian season means there's only one of you, and we are bound by the prison of time and space within this dimension, which means we can only be in one place at one time. Our time can only go to so many things before we feel scattered and before we inevitably drop the ball in certain arenas. The reason I say this is we have a lot of the cosmos in Capricorn currently, and as these planets pass Capricorn, they will oppose Jupiter, which Jupiter can be this energy around, yes, I can go to the PTA meeting, and yes, I can finish my EP this week, and yes, I can go on 3 dates this week, and yes, and yes. But the Capricorn energy wants us to be very intentional with where we are giving our energy so that we are not spread too thin, because Capricorn energy naturally holds itself to a high standard of a certain expectation around how things are done, whether that is a commitment to be at your child's baseball game, whether that is a commitment to show up for a friend of yours, whether that is a commitment to finish a certain artistic project. Regardless of the commitment, Capricorn energy strives to do what it is that they do and do it well. And we can only do so much. And the energy of Jupiter might be a little overly idealistic around how much realistically we can get done, especially if we're prioritizing everything that's happening out here while we feel personally deprived and undernourished soulfully, trying to be everything to everyone and forgetting to just be yourself, to pour in to yourself. And holding yourself to unrealistic expectations around how much you can get done and the level by which you expect these elements of your life to get done, and then feeling personally not enough. I'm not good enough because I didn't hit my sales goal. I'm not good enough because my partner did not acknowledge the sacrifice that I made for them. When the Capricorn placements oppose Jupiter, they then build to square off with Chiron, which is the I'm not enough wound. Which, keep in mind, last week in our Magic Monday episode, we talked about how Chiron is now direct. So you can feel the sting around, I don't feel good enough, I don't feel worthy, I don't feel seen, I don't feel valued, I don't feel validated, while also lovingly checking yourself around, is that true? Is it that I am worthless and not valuable and not validated? Or is it that I'm trying to do everything all at once and make everybody happy? Which also could be something that we are letting go of with this week's last quarter moon in Libra, letting go of people pleasing, letting go of telling everybody what they want to hear at the expense of what it is that you need. Because nobody knows the intricacies of your world and how much it really requires from you to keep everything going in your world. People have no idea what goes into your life. None of us really do. People see you at work, but they don't see the responsibilities that you have over your family, over your pets. We all have pesky elements of our life of laundry and car maintenance and having to get this person's birthday gift and having to take this person this way. There is a lot of different hats that we wear and roles that we are asked to play, and oftentimes shifting into those roles at a moment's notice. It's enough to leave anyone fatigued, physically fatigued, or even mentally fatigued, having to make so many decisions day to day, having to be on every single day, having people who rely on you every single day. The details for each of us vary, but regardless of what hats you wear and what roles you play and what responsibilities you have, we all here in my cosmic corner of the internet are united under the same sky. So there is a core theme that's showing up in this week's horoscope around feeling a little bit overwhelmed, feeling a little bit scattered, feeling a little bit pulled in many different directions, and potentially not feeling very seen or very validated for all that you do, for all of the roles that you play, for all the hats that you wear. What I will say is that there does feel to be an energy of passion igniting this week, where some of you may have some sort of business launch, you may have some sort of creation, you could have some sort of group project of some sort. There can be an energy around getting excited around what it is that you want to build, understanding the journey may be arduous, it may require a lot of hard work, but really feeling energized around what it is that you are stepping into this week, this year. We are very new into 2026. And sometimes when we start something new, it helps to be a little optimistic about it. Just think of the optimism you have when you first start a hike, right? You start a hike and you just feel bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and you look to the top of the mountain and sure, it looks far, but you still have all of your trail mix and you have all of your water and you're so excited and you're chit-chatting and you're like, oh, this should take only an hour and a half, or hey, All Trails said that this was hard, but this is a piece of cake. Maybe I'll go for a fitness class after, and ooh, should I climb those rocks off trail? Like when we start any sort of journey, we are optimistic because that's what gets us on the hiking trail. That's what gets us in the project. That's what gets us in the creation, is that energy of optimism. But as we get further and further along, as we scale more and more elevation, it gets more and more real. The trail mix is running low. The water is running low. The conversation is teetering out a little bit, and the reality is setting in. And if we were to just fast forward to that moment when you're sweaty and you're tired and you're exhausted and you're thinking about giving up before you get to the top, you likely wouldn't start the hike in the first place. Sometimes we do need the optimism of a certain project or of a certain passion or of a certain hike in order to initiate our journey. But the ask this week is to really blend the optimism with realism, to not burn yourself out in the first mile of the hike, eat all of your trail mix, exhaust all of your energy by going in every single detour, making all sorts of plans after. It's this energy around I'm feeling good, I'm feeling excited around the heights that I'm scaling to, around what I'm building, what I'm ascending to, but I'm also being realistic. I'm being realistic with my body, I'm being realistic with my energy, I'm being realistic with my resources, I'm being realistic with my time, because I know Capricorn season and all, I will get to the top of this mountain, or for us this week, I will get to the other side of this week with its challenges, with its projects, with its responsibilities. We will get to the other side. It's just important to pace yourself. Don't sprint the first mile up the mountain. And also know that sometimes we do have diversions when it comes to a hike. Sometimes you have to support your friend that you're hiking with. Sometimes for us, we are in the midst of a certain launch or a certain project, and then our pet lizard gets sick, or our spouse needs support, or a friend needs help, or there's something that happens within our home maintenance-wise that diverts us. What would it look like to be realistic about that as well? You may think that a certain project, a certain hike will only take an hour, but that's in a perfect world. And if your energy was only required on that hike, in that project, many of us play many roles. We wear many hats. And so it's important to also just be realistic with life. That life is going to do what life does around sometimes throw us curveballs and present some challenges and obstacles when it comes to our hike. But what's important this week is to not take it personally with the square to Chiron around feeling like you are flawed or you are bad, to be realistic with your time and energy, to be intentional with where you're placing it, and to be intentional with where you're not placing it, and to also know this energy will pass. The project will be completed. You will get to the top of the mountain. This week will come to a close. This too shall pass. All things do. So within your Magic Monday podcast, we will be breaking down the overall astrology of this week, comparing it to a real life scenario so that you feel empowered on how exactly this will show up within your universe, just in case you're not hiking, you don't have a major project, you don't have a pet lizard to be taken care of. We'll illuminate other ways that this can come to the surface. We will take it into our day-by-day analysis, where we break down the times and dates that you will feel these transits, these energies, and what you can do to co-create with them. And then I will close out our time together with our Magic Monday mantra of the week, which is designed from my heart to yours to support you in navigating this week's astrology and ascending to the peak of this week's celestial mountain, so to speak. But before we get into all of that, take a step inside my cosmic cafe. Let me know what you are sipping on to start your week. I don't know if this is supposed to be like this, like a way to keep my tea warm, or I know I stress you guys out. I talk with my hands a lot, and when I have a cup in my hands, I know I stress you guys out with how close I am to spilling a lot of times, or how many times I honestly do spill. So maybe that's a solution for that. Or it also could be a coaster. Not sure, but I will say my tea is still plenty warm, so it did work to trap the heat in. This is the Celestial brand tea, which I love. It's the honey vanilla chamomile tea with a little bit of honey in there. It's honestly warming my spirit so much. In all honesty, I'm really not feeling well, just like body-wise, mind-wise. I didn't sleep. I feel like I'm on the brink of getting sick again. I'm like, please no. You know, this Capricorn Stellium so wants to achieve and hustle and grind. And some of us very well may get excited about certain projects or undertakings with the Capricorn Sun, Venus, and Mars all aligning this week. But sometimes we are diverted by having to take care of things with the opposition to Jupiter in Cancer, having to take care of our children, having to take care of our pet lizard, having to take care of ourselves. And it could be frustrating, the push-pull around, I want to move forward, I want to conquer my goals, but also my body is asking me to slow down, or there's just other elements of my life that need my nurturing, that need my support. Even if I would want my energy to go full steam ahead to my 2026 goals and ambitions. So the ask this week, and I'm being asked to embody this right alongside all of you, just in case any of you relate as well, is to really give ourselves a lot of grace, give ourselves a lot of gentleness. Some of us may feel diverted by our own emotional needs, our own physical needs, or having to take care of someone in our lives, or our pet lizard, or our home, or just other elements of our life that sometimes can feel like a diversion from the goals and the milestones and the top of the mountain that we want to ascend to. But what's important is to give ourselves grace, knowing that we are full human with people who love us, with people who depend on us, with pets and plants who depend on us, with homes for us to take care of. We are multifaceted, and there's so much that goes into your life that is not visible, but is deeply important to prioritize, and to not shame yourself if you did not do enough. Like, you know more than anyone else how much it takes to be you. To do all of the things that you do within your world, outside of your job, outside of your career, the things that you do for your own mental health, the things that you do for your own physical health, the things that you do for your own domestic health, for the health of your relationships and partnerships. It's a lot to be a human. So please give yourself grace. I will give myself grace as we navigate the week. I might just be run down from traveling after the holidays. Last night, I really did not sleep. I just could not sleep, and I tried to counteract that by taking melatonin, but then I was just awake with the melatonin running in my system, which was such a weird combination. So I've been navigating through today, like, what is even life? And sometimes that can make us very hard on ourselves when we're not operating in our fullest capacity, because we're not feeling our best, because our energy is getting diverted or pulled in many different directions. But this honey vanilla chamomile tea is really bringing me into this body, into this moment. It's really just making me feel like a human again, and knowing that this funky energy that I'm in will pass. Let's actually light the incense. I think that'll help with the funky energy I'm feeling. That should help. Okay, honey vanilla chamomile tea, incense, that is a dynamic duo to really set the energy. So let me know how you are setting the energy this week, what it is that you are sipping on, how it is that it is warming and nourishing your spirit, any sort of self-care practice that is just helping you in humaning. Humaning can be a lot, but let's go ahead and take it into Vibe Check of the Week, aka the segment in which we bring the planets down to planet Earth. We compare all of the transits that we will experience this week from the Mars Cazimi, Venus and Mars opposite Jupiter, Venus and Capricorn square Chiron. We take all of that and we compare it to a real life scenario so that you feel informed and empowered stepping into your week, knowing what all of those energies mean for you. This is a hypothetical situation, but oftentimes you can find some of the themes, the emotions, the vibe of the vibe check feel similar to what surfaces within your reality as you experience this astrology. So this week's astrology feels like the following scenario. We will say that you are on deadline at work. There is a really significant project that is nearing completion, and it's requiring all hands on deck, and you are working long hours in order to get this done. You are working with a team, but you are balancing both being a team player with being a leader. You know, this week we have Venus, the planet of peace, and Mars, the planet of conflict, buddied up in the cosmos, and the sun illuminating both of them, really illuminating where in our life we are leading with sugar and honey, That's the Venus. And where in our life we're having to lead with a little bit of spice, a little bit of oomph. That's the Mars energy. And how sometimes there's certain elements of our life that require us to operate with both, where it's like we're getting along, we are working as a team. That's the energy of Venus. But also I need to distinguish myself. I also need to make sure I'm asserting myself and asserting my ideas in order to angle for a certain promotion that we'll say in the vibe check is on the horizon. And there's a lot of pressure on this particular project to prove yourself as a leader, as a manager, and to balance both. We're working together. We want to make sure everybody feels heard and seen while also distinguishing yourself. So there can be an element around needing to juggle both this week around cooperation and competition, working together while also ensuring that you're advocating for your needs, or with the energy in Capricorn, your ambitions, and striving not to go to excess with either. You know, if you go to the excess of the Venus energy, it can be prioritizing wanting to be liked by everybody, wanting to be approved by everybody, not wanting to step on any toes, which the last quarter moon in Libra could be around letting that go, this need to feel liked and approved of everyone around you. Recognizing wanting to be liked by everyone is keeping you from the progress that you want to see in your life, but also not striving to operate too much on the Mars side of the equation. You know, Mars is exalted. So when we look at a massive alignment like this, we always want to see which planet is operating the strongest, dignity-wise. And Mars is in its favorite sign. It loves to be in Capricorn. And so Mars is very strong this week. And so there can be this Mars oomph of passion, of assertion, which sometimes can be helpful to get our projects along, to shoot our shot, to pitch ourselves, to distinguish ourselves, to assert ourselves, whatever it may be. But it's also important to balance that out so that you're not ruthless and opportunistic and only looking out for yourself, because that's also really not healthy as well. It's a balance. And the cosmos nudges that when we think of these oppositions. It's really like balancing the energy, not living too much in either extreme. And so that is exactly the balance that you are walking with in this vibe check of the week. Around, you want this promotion and it is on the horizon. And so you are putting so much energy into this project, wanting to prove yourself that you could be this manager, that you can be this lead, that you can direct. And you are really striving to bring the team together in order to complete this project, while also distinguishing yourself from the team in order to display your leadership abilities. And so you're mentally going into this week around, okay, all of my energy needs to be on this project. But of course, life does what it does. And of course, this is the week that your mom starts to feel under the weather. So you need to make soup and bring it to her. And your friend needs a ride from the airport. And you have to take Professor Whiskers to the vet, which, knock on wood, I am by no means putting it out there that anybody's mom is going to be under the weather, that anybody's going to have to take their Professor Whiskers to the vet or their pet lizard to the vet. That's not what I'm putting out there. But life's, you know, we can have a certain plan around this week. It's going to be hardcore work. And then we get a cold, or we think, yes, I'm going to sign this many deals, but then other arenas of our life call our attention. And so you are going into the week just trying to balance everything, trying to do this project, trying to take care of your mom, trying to take care of Professor Whiskers, trying to take care of your friend, get her home from the airport, and trying to deal with your home, which is messy and there's some repairs that are necessary. You are just trying to survive and keep everything in your life balanced and just trying to keep it all together, which sometimes can feel like an impossible act. And so you can't help it. There is an element of resentment when it relates to the other elements of your life that you're having to take care of at this time, where it's not Professor Whiskers' fault, it's not your mom's fault, it's not your friend's fault, but there is an energy of resentment around, this had to be the week you got sick. Professor Whiskers, this had to be the week you're getting your shots. Like, sometimes it's like, really? Now? During crunch time? During this deadline? And there are certain things that you sacrifice, whether it's your own self-care rituals, whether there's certain arenas that you're having to say no to, certain home repairs that you're having to put off in order to abide by this deadline at work. And you're just so wanting your boss to see and validate all of your hard work and your sacrifices. Keep in mind, the people at work only see a sliver of your life. They don't know about Professor Whiskers. They don't know about your mom being under the weather. Like, they don't know the other fires that you're putting out in your life, the other situations that you are navigating. And when your boss pulls you aside and mentions a part of the project that you admittedly dropped the ball on, it crushes your spirit because you just want to scream. Do you know how much I've been dealing with? Do you know how many sacrifices I've been making? Do you know how much energy I've been putting into this and how many other arenas of my life I have been sacrificing in order to be here and to prove myself to you? And of course, you tune into the one thing that I did wrong. And there's just an energy around feeling not valued, feeling not seen for your contributions, which is alive in the collective with Venus in Capricorn square Chiron in Aries. Around, I pour so much into work and I still feel underappreciated. I still feel undervalued. Or if you do a lot for your home environment, I do so much in order to make your lives easier. And in return, I just get dismissed. Like, there just could be an element around feeling undervalued, feeling underappreciated, feeling not seen. Because yes, we do have a Venus Cazimi this week, which is when Venus aligns with the sun. So there is a spotlight on love and value and beauty and pleasure, which we'll get into. But for a lot of this week, Venus is combust. And what that means is that Venus is being like burned up by the light of the sun. So oftentimes we don't have a realistic picture of any planets that are being burned by the sun's rays. Just think about staring at the sun. You can't see it clearly. It's like so bright that you kind of squint. That's a planet that's combust. So there could be an energy where we're not seeing our own value clearly. Or again, because you're so burnt out or running around trying to keep all of the different arenas of your life afloat, there's an energy around hearing this critique and extrapolating upon it around, you don't see me at all. You don't validate me at all. You don't see all of the sacrifices that I do. You don't value me at all. And with the combination of the combust planet and then squaring Chiron, there could be an energy where we could be feeling very raw and very wounded, where it's not just this particular critique, it's just this undercurrent around no matter how much I do, I don't feel good enough. I don't feel seen. I don't feel valued. I don't feel enough. And so there's an ask this week to not feel like you need to deprive certain elements of your life in order to prove yourself, because that's really what feels the most defeating a lot of times, is when we try to do it all and we're told it's still not good enough, particularly knowing the ways that we sacrificed ourselves in this effort to do it all. Like, ultimately, that is what feels like the biggest betrayal, is around, I sacrificed doing this and being there for this in order to be here at work, and still I'm being told it's not enough. Certainly there's frustration at your boss for not really seeing the ins and outs of all that you do, but it's also the frustration with yourself that you deprived certain things that you needed in order to prioritize this and still being told it's not good enough. That's what really can feel very crushing. And what would it look like to make your needs a priority? Where, yes, your energy may feel pulled in so many different directions between your pet lizard and your friend and your career and your parents and like all of the different things. We could just feel like we are in a tug of war of life, trying to be it all and do it all and have it all of the things. But I just don't want to lose yourself in the shuffle, because ultimately that's when we feel the most crestfallen, is that energy around, I abandoned myself, I sacrificed myself, and still I'm being told it's not good enough. I have given and given and given, and the different areas of my life have taken and taken and taken, and I'm still being told it's not enough. I'm still being asked to give more. There is an ask, as challenging as can be this week, to ensure that you are pouring into yourself as much as you're pouring into everything else within your life. We will, of course, take it deeper in our day-by-day analysis. I just want to remind you that I am located in California. So when I mention certain times, I'm referring to the times in PST. These aspects may land at a different time and maybe even a different date, depending on where in the world you are watching your weekly astrology forecast, which I'm so grateful that you're here, by the way. Let's go ahead and take it into the astrology for Monday, January 5th. On Monday, January 5th, 2026, the moon is in Leo all day long. I want to check in to see how your full moon in Cancer weekend was. I think it's so fascinating this year that we begin and end 2026 with a full moon in Cancer. It just feels like a full circle moment. So my encouragement would be to snapshot, lock, and seal this particular moment in time, knowing that you will reminisce on this moment in time at the end of the year, and knowing that a future version of you is proud of you right now, proud of how far that you have come and proud of how far that you will go, but maybe you don't know at this particular moment in time. I would just encourage you to take a moment to just bask in what your life looks like right now, what your life feels like right now, and just like snapshot it within your soul. And sometimes that can be helpful to tune into a future version of ourselves, a version of ourselves at the end of the year, to cheerlead us and coach us through what it is that we are currently navigating. Because sometimes it can feel like a lot. Sometimes if we're feeling under the weather and we're on work deadline, or something that we want isn't coming to pass in the timeline that we would want it to, we could just feel like, oh, I'm just going to be in this forever. But sometimes when you get really quiet, when you get still, when you tune within, you can feel the wavelengths, the vibrations of a future version of self who's reassuring you it all works out. Let it all work out. It's already done. It's already yours. What would it look like if you could just trust, allow, and surrender? What would it look like to feel the future version of you reassure you that you are doing enough, that you are enough? There could just be glimmers of that as we start the year. So I'd encourage you to journal, to reflect. A future version of you could be reminiscing on this particular moment in time where you are as you start the year. And sometimes it could just be helpful to tune into the version of us on the other side of something challenging, to know I will get to the other side of this. These challenges, these obstacles will come to a close. Sometimes we're in a season of our life that just feels never ending. Will I ever get a job? Will I ever find my person? Will I ever get what it is that I want? And it can help to tune into the reassurance from a future version of yourself that only you can feel around, let it all work out. It's already yours. You desire it because it's already yours. And that helps us enjoy the process. It helps us have more fun on the way, right? The moon is in Leo. It helps us play and celebrate and enjoy it. Like if you truly knew, like if you had concrete proof within your outer reality that you are going to get that job that you desire, get that relationship that you desire, whatever it is that you're walking through currently, how differently would you operate through life? Would you stop and sniff the roses? Would you stop to play Unicorn Monopoly with your 7-year-old more often? Like what would it look like if you had utter faith that what it is that you desire, what it is that you're working for and striving for would come to pass? Like how differently would you show up? There just could be an opportunity in Monday to play within that space. Again, we are in full moon recovery, and sometimes with full moons, it disrupts our sleep. I'm currently filming this around the Cancer full moon, and I shared earlier that I did not sleep last night. So, full moons are going to do what the full moons are going to do, which sometimes means mess up our sleep cycle. Sometimes it's going to exhaust us. We're going to feel absolutely drained. Sometimes the feels can be feeling, right? With the full moon in Cancer, whether it's great feels or negative feels, it also can be helpful to reminisce on this moment from a future version of self, which is why I want you to play in that, because it helps you recognize this moment is not forever. And even if I really desire my person, I really desire this new job, there is a future version of myself that is reminiscing on what it looked like to be in this single era, or what it looked like to have the time that I have currently, or something like this, or just to even reminisce like, wow, I've come so far. Like that was a really hard period of my life. And so the Leo moon will trine Chiron in Aries at 7:59 p.m. PST, which is an ask to allow vulnerability. Sometimes our pride gets the better of us and we get very defensive if someone points out a mistake that we made or something like this. We can feel this natural desire that we need to stick up for ourselves. But it's important to know everybody makes mistakes. Everybody has those days. Even at work, there is a focus of that with all this Capricorn energy, where it's like everybody will have some launches that flop a little bit. Everybody will have some work mistakes. Everybody will have some good and bad days at work. And it doesn't do any good to look for other people to blame or to be very defensive or around, oh, I meant to do it like that. Like it's really striving to remain teachable, as well as to remain, wherever possible, light with life with this Leo moon. And to also know, even if you love what you do for work, what you do is not who you are. And to potentially detangle that, because we have this radiant spotlight on Venus tomorrow, which is what it is that we love, what it is that we value, as well as how we feel loved, how we feel valued. And with the energy of Capricorn, especially with Venus then going on to square Chiron, there can be this energy around finding your value in what you do. Which, sure, be proud of what it is that you've accomplished and what you are yet to accomplish. What future you knows, the you at the end of the year, the full moon in Cancer on December 23rd, 2026, what that Cancer full moon version knows about you that you can feel, but you don't quite yet know how it's all going to come into fruition. It's lovely to be proud of what it is that you have accomplished, will accomplish, are accomplishing. But it's also important to know that when we find our value in our success, we equally validate that we are not valuable if we are not successful. And something about this life is that we all have ups and downs. You know, some of us went to high school with individuals who didn't seem like they were going to achieve that much, but then they were successful beyond anyone's wildest dreams. Or there's certain individuals who had a $500,000 business and then they went bankrupt. And this is not me saying that money is the only way to dictate success or value, but it's just a recognition that if we find our value in our career and in our financial status and in what it is that we have, we are really waging a very risky bet because those things in life are constantly going up and down. We can strive to be shrewd and be strategic and think long term. We are in a Saturnian season. That would be my encouragement. But it's also knowing that your value is not dictated by the number on your bank account. Your value is not dictated by your particular position, and to remind yourself of that. Because if we affirm, I am valuable because I am successful, we equally give weight, I am not valuable if I am not successful. And again, I do want you to position yourself around, I am successful. Even in my current situation, I am a winner. I am creating and designing all that I desire to achieve. I'm getting to the top of the mountaintop. I always want you to position yourself that way, but it just gets very tricky when you see your worth fundamentally in just one arena of your life. Same goes if you fully identify with a relationship or you fully identify with how it is that you look. These things can change. And Capricorn energy is really asking you to connect to your foundation around who it is that you are, that inner pillar of fortitude that cannot be rocked, no matter how the outer circumstances of your reality does. On Tuesday, January 6th at 8:36 a.m. PST, we have a Venus Cazimi. I love that word, Cazimi. What that means is in the heart of the sun. It's basically when any planet, in today's case Venus, is at the same degree of the sun, and the two fuse and become one. So before a planet is Cazimi, it is in the rays of the sun. And again, it's that squinting energy around, I really can't see it. So sometimes Venus energy gets burnt up. So we're not seeing our own value clearly. We're not seeing what we value clearly. You know, when we're on deadline, like in the vibe check, sometimes the whole scope of our life gets skewed, where suddenly this particular project feels like the most important thing that will ever exist in your life at that particular moment. You know, we're not fully seeing everything too clear, or we can lose out on our value, not see our worth, and then feel like we have to go into a role of proving it to other individuals, which is always going to make us feel empty. Because if we're trying to do something for validation, tell me I'm enough, it's never going to feel like enough. It's going to feel bottomless until we really feel that. But today, Venus and the sun fuse and they become one. So there is a spotlight on Venus matters. What you value, who you value. Venus is the planet of love. So some of you could be tuning into your long-term visions, the heights that you want to ascend to within your life or within a partnership of yours. Some of you could have a spotlight around who is the person that I want to build with, I want to achieve with. What is the life partner that I'm calling in, and how is it that I can call in a life partner where our visions of the future look similar? Or how is it that I'm in a particular partnership that is allowing me to build towards what it is that I value out in the world? There just could be a spotlight on this. The energy of Venus in Capricorn really wants to invest in what it is that we value, or who it is that we value, or what it is that we want to build. And so there can be a spotlight on that. Whether you're single, whether you're in a relationship, there could be an energy around, is this person going to be a great hiking partner, so to speak, to get to the top of the mountain? Because we can love someone so deeply, but that doesn't mean we're meant to hike the entire journey with them. Not everyone is going to be able to be in our lives to get to the top of the mountain, so to speak. Some people are great for hiking entertainment. They tell jokes, but when it comes down to it, they didn't pack enough water. So they're drinking all of your water and they're complaining every 2 seconds and they want you to carry them up the mountain. It's like your aim, what you want to do with this one wild and wonderful life is your vision is to get to the top of the mountain. And you're recognizing, I don't think I can get there with this person without exhausting or depleting my resources, my body from carrying this person, my water from giving this person nourishment. This person might even encourage me to turn around. And so there could just be a spotlight around, is this the hiking partner that's going to support me in getting to the top of the mountain? And I don't say that in a way around being heartless or being cruel, but it is just important to know that this time is your own and this experience in life is your own. And if you actively feel like you are hiking with someone who is going to detract from what it is that you value or what it is that you have to build, you just have to get real with yourself on that and decide if that's a sacrifice that you want to make. Maybe it's not that important to get to the top and you're like, oh, you want to turn around and watch TV instead? Sure. Like we all have to make these decisions. And there just could be a spotlight on Venusian matters, particularly in this Capricorn way. What are we building? What do I want to build with someone? There can also be a spotlight on money. There could be a spotlight on the money that you are calling in, the money that you are making, what money is flowing into your account. And it's just important to know as we navigate away from this Cazimi, Venus builds to square Chiron, which can bring some financial insecurities or uncertainties around feeling like we should have achieved more financially than we should have. Or like every time I get a leg up, it's like all of my expenses get more. Like, am I ever going to get out of this? Like there just could be an energy around feeling a lot of guilt or shame around finances in some sort of way this week. And the Venus Cazimi is, yes, getting real with your finances, if that is something appropriate within your world, while also giving yourself grace. The oppositions to Jupiter and Cancer energy always just reminds me of just how things are constantly fluctuating, and Capricorn energy can have a certain plan around, I need to hit these metrics at this particular time, but Jupiter and Cancer is around, but this came up and this happened, and it's not giving ourselves excuses. It's just giving it context around, but the economy is what it is. And this was what it was. It's like taking in the bigger scope of things and not feeling personally flawed. That is one of the most sinister parts of capitalism, is that it's woven its way into so many of us where we feel like we are personally not good enough or not doing enough, when in fact, we're all trying to succeed in a system that is very much designed to only benefit a few people, and feeling personally not enough because we are floundering in a system that was quite literally built for us to flounder. So it's, yes, taking responsibility of your financial reality, getting real with yourself, giving a reality check if necessary with this Capricorn energy, while also taking into account the larger context and giving yourself grace. Again, it's a balancing act this week. When it comes to the lunar aspects today on Tuesday, we start the day with the moon in Leo. It squares Uranus and Taurus around 5 a.m. So you could wake up with a jolt. You could feel a little restless. There could be something unexpected. You could just emotionally feel a little volatile. You could feel a little dramatic. You could burn your toast and you could just be like, worst thing ever. How will I ever go on? We love Leo moon energy, but sometimes it could be a little dramatic. The energy gets a little bit more grounded when the moon shifts into Virgo just before 9 a.m. So this is a day to tune into what you value with that Venus Cazimi, tune into the visions and the goals that you value, while also understanding getting to the top of the mountaintop requires a lot of small steps in order to get there. Like that's the energy of the Virgo moon, is the small steps, the rituals, the commitments that get us to the top. So it's tuning into what it is that we value within the big picture, while also committing to the small steps that get us there. There also could be a spotlight just on your health, on your body, as well as just the maintenance of life. So much of this life can be deeply annoying, where it's like, geez, you're telling me I have to go to work and I also have to do my laundry and I also have to repair my house and I also have to take my cat to the vet. I also need to make soup for my mom. It's just like a lot, right? It's a lot to maintain all of the different small arenas of our life. And so it's giving yourself grace with all that you carry, with all that you manage, and all of the silent battles that you are battling that nobody even knows about. Again, only you know intimately and deeply what it's like to be you and to do all that you do. So give yourself grace because you know the full story. You know how much you're navigating. So it's showing up for the small elements of your day-to-day reality and recognizing that it is a gift to have things to take care of. That's going to be important, is tuning into that energy of gratitude, which is hard when we feel overwhelmed, when we feel scattered, when our energy is being pulled in many different directions. But it is a gift to have a cat to take to the vet. It is a gift to be able to give someone who is feeling under the weather soup. It is a gift to have a home to maintain. It is a gift to have a healthy body to go work out in the gym. Just keep that perspective is important. On Wednesday, January 7th, at 6:43 p.m. PST, Venus, the planet of love, harmony, peace, aligns with Mars, the planet of action, assertion, conflict. And these are very much opposing energies. Like Venus is very much around the principles of the feminine and Mars is very much around the principles of the masculine. And it's knowing that both sides of the energetic expression are necessary within each and every one of us. Like we all have parts of ourselves that are more masculine, parts of ourselves that are more feminine, and they both have particular roles. And some of us identify more so on one particular side, but even if you are someone who's deeply feminine, there are elements of your life that require you to be more masculine. If you are more masculine, there's elements of your life that require you to be more feminine. Like there is a balance that we all strive to strike within this world. Now, the masculine might be a little bit more alive or felt this week just because Mars is operating stronger within this conjunction in its exaltation of Capricorn. So there can be an energy where Mars is a little bit more alive this week. You know, Venus is around attracting, Mars is around chasing. So you might feel like you are having to hustle, grind, put some energy forth. The good news is Mars is very passionate. So some individuals could feel very passionate around going after what you desire, going after who you desire. Listen, some of you could be going after that. There can be a balance to be struck around when to chase, when to sit back, when to advocate for yourself, when to choose peace, when to start the fight, when to let it go. There just could be a balance of that with these two planets working together. But I will say in terms of if Mars is operating stronger, so when it comes to your interpersonal relationships, likely more of you are going to feel more inspired to want to, start the argument. We do have to pick our battles, right? But there just could be an energy around being a little bit feistier and spikier as it relates to your relationships, even as it relates to your money, like advocating for your fair wage, for your fair rate. Maybe the Venus Cazimi illuminated, like I'm not getting paid my fair rate within my industry, or other people within my industry, within my business are charging more than me. And this is energy where I'm having to stick up for myself. And so this energy could bring itself up around a certain choice point around, am I gonna start the fight or am I gonna let it go and choose peace? And Mars is operating stronger. So a lot of you could decide I'm gonna start the fight, and not fighting for its own sake, but there just could be something that you feel inspired to advocate for or advocate on. There could be something that moves you, or dare I say triggers you within love this week that you're feeling apt to stick up for. There could be something where it's like, I could let it go, but I just really didn't like your tone. I just really didn't like how you're talking to me. Like there could be an energy of that. And within every relationship, like there will be things that get under our skin. It is important to pick our battles, but you could just be feeling a little spikier, a little sassier, which this can be an energy where there's more banter energy within your relationship. You're a little bit more competitive. You want to prove that you're right around something. There can be an element like this. Mars is also going to activate our money. So again, we got that spotlight on our finances yesterday. And with Mars energy, there could be a focus around wanting to assert yourself financially, wanting to ask for a raise, wanting to raise your prices, like seeing I'm undercharging myself. I'm not seeing my worth clearly. I've done analysis on other people with my industry and I need to up level my prices. Like with Mars on Venus, it could be motivating you to take action in some regard or motivating you to go after a certain deal. Mars is chasing and Venus is attracting. And the two are conjunct, so they're together, but Mars is operating stronger. So there could be an energy around shooting your shot, chasing after something, but also knowing it's a delicate balance where we put forth energy where it is that we observe and sit back, and knowing the valuable role of both. And also knowing that sometimes, like within the vibe check, we are in a group environment, we are in a team environment, and that does require us to be a team player and to cooperate with many different personality types, which of course is important. But it's also important to stay focused on what it is that you desire. I always think about Mars as severing, because Mars is the planet of severing. And it's beautiful to be part of a team, but you also need to separate yourself from other individuals when it comes to your ambitions and your visions. This is not me saying to be cutthroat. This is not me saying to be mean, but it's just the energy around, I didn't choose this job to make a bunch of best friends. I came to advance within my career. And so balancing that as well. I mentioned that I have just gotten back to San Diego. I traveled to my hometown for the holidays, and I am being pulled in so many different directions, as I'm sure many of us are with this astrology. So I just had this moment where I was on this walk and I was just feeling overwhelmed. I was just feeling so pulled around wanting to soak up family time within my hometown and all of the holidays and my work responsibilities and having to travel and just feeling pulled in so many different directions. So much so that I was like, I don't know if I can film Magic Monday. I don't know if I'm going to have time to film. I don't know if my editor is going to have time to edit. Just know if this week's Magic Monday went up, it was a miracle by the grace of God, but really by the grace of Alex, the editor, truly editing this on such short notice. I was basically just in a moment where I was feeling very frazzled, pulled in many different directions. And so I was venting to my mom about it. And I was like, I just don't know if I could do Magic Monday. I have to get this done, all of these things. And she asked me, she was like, well, is it an important week of astrology? And I'm like, yes. But my mom was being so sweet and she was helping me think of a vibe check. And the one that she came up with when I described her the energy, I was like, yeah, it's kind of like this. She was like, oh, it's like a reality dating show, like The Bachelor, things like this, where it's like, yes, there's that team energy, right? The contestants befriend each other, but ultimately they are out for their rose, right? For their chosen aim. Same goes with other, reality shows. America's Next Top Model. It's not America's Next Top Best Friend. It's like, yes, be open to connection, but also know, sometimes it is a competition or it is a game, or at the very least, you have to stay focused on what it is that you desire so you don't feel trampled on or taken advantage of or wondering why it is that you have not advanced. Venus wants to keep the peace. It wants to be liked. And this can also show up within our love lives, right? We don't want to fight. We don't want to have arguments, but sometimes we have to stand up for ourselves or assert hey, this made me mad. Hey, this was not okay with me. And same goes with work as well. We could be a team player while also giving feedback, while also motivating. Where is it that we navigate these dualities and the necessity of these dualities? And it's knowing that really when we talk about Venus and Mars, it's the passion planets, right? And they are both concerned with getting what we want. Venus is very connected with pleasure. It's very connected with money. And Mars is very connected with action and assertion. And yes, Mars is more active. It's more chase. It's more hustle. But Venus is also around getting what we desire, just a different way of doing so. It's more so getting what we desire via charm, getting what we desire by attracting it to us. And sometimes that is a necessary ingredient to getting what it is that we want. So it's important to take it case by case. Some situations we need to go in with spice, like a little Mars energy, and some situations we go in with honey. We go in with Venus. And charm can be an asset to get what it is that you desire. And so Wednesday's astrology is very productive for whatever it is that you have scheduled today. There's a lot of very productive, efficient energy. The moon is in Virgo all day long, which makes it feel good and nourishing to get things done. It feels so gratifying to check things off a to-do list when the moon is in Virgo. It might have just been a day that you got an oil change, you got this particular project done, but there's just something where it feels nourishing, when the moon's in Virgo, to handle the task, to get things done, to clean, to organize, to complete. And there just could be an energy around chipping away at the big picture things that we are seeking to accomplish, our visions, our dreams, what it is that we value, right? While also tuning into the small steps in order to make that happen. I say this because the Virgo moon will trine Mercury in Capricorn shortly after midnight, helpful for conversations, brainstorming. It will then, between the hours of 5 to 6 p.m., trine Venus, Sun, and Mars in Capricorn. So this is the energy where it's feeling good to get things done. It's feeling good to show up for our responsibilities and our ambitions. We can have moments of a little pity party, like the one that I just shared when I was at home and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it all. But we lock in. We show up. We get in the cosmic corner of the internet. My mentor used to tell me, professionals act as they must, not as they want to. And sometimes that's just important around. We can have our feelings, but sometimes you got to boss up and show up. Whether that's showing up with honey or that's showing up with spice, you got to show up for what it is that you value, for what it is that you desire, for what it is that you're building. And the Virgo moon will also sextile Jupiter in Cancer that evening, adding to that energy around it feeling good to get things done. On Thursday, January 8th, it's important to not make mountains out of molehills or to make huge problems out of something that is more minor within your world. The moon is in Virgo through most of the day. It does enter Libra around 4 p.m. But Virgo moon has a tendency to blow things out of proportion or to make little things a big deal because Virgo is about the little things, and the little things can feel like a big deal when something is not perfect, when something doesn't go according to plan. It can ruffle our feathers a little bit. It also can be an energy that makes us very sensitive to criticism, which was woven into the vibe check around having your boss give you a critique and having a certain reaction to it, which again ties into the Venus square Chiron. I don't feel seen. I don't feel valued. But also with the energy of Virgo moon, it can make us very hypersensitive to criticism. It's a very critical energy in and of itself. And so because we're being more critical of ourselves, when someone else criticizes us, it just layers it on. And sometimes we can be defensive or we can add to it around, can I do anything right? And it also can just be this energy around feeling how much you carry, like all of the routines and the maintenance, and just feeling overwhelmed by all of the responsibility that is on your plate. And we see this with the Virgo moon opposite Saturn at 10 a.m. and then the Virgo moon opposite Neptune at 3:23 p.m. And with the opposite to Saturn, you could just start your day feeling very weighed down by responsibilities. Maybe somebody gave you a certain critique. Maybe you're being very critical of yourself, or life could just feel like a lot around, oh, I have to get my car washed again. And I have to explain this via email to this individual. Like you could just be feeling the weight of your responsibilities, or even just certain health matters. You know, Virgo really brings up our body. So whether somebody else's health is entering the chat, you know, a lot of individuals are navigating this nasty flu that's going around, or just different colds or things like that. There could be an emphasis on that and feeling the weight of that, or just the weight of showing up for those in your life who are not feeling well, or just feeling the weight around wanting to take better care of yourself, but feeling how hard that can be. And with the Virgo moon opposite Neptune, this can be an energy around blowing something out of proportion. A comment that is said, that is extrapolated on around, well, I just must be the worst employee ever if I made that mistake, or having a certain worry or concern that you build up within your mind, and it just snowballs into this huge vision of something that threatens to overtake you altogether. There just could be an element of that you're navigating as it relates to your Thursday. So it's important to shrink things down to their proper size, as well as connect to your body. Truly, the body is the gateway out of any Virgo moon anxiety or overthinking or hyperfixating. With the Virgo moon trine Uranus and Taurus, even just like a walk outside, a quick breathing exercise, a fitness class can be helpful to return things back to their proper size and realize, oh, it's just a molehill. Life will go on. What felt enormous and like I would never get to the other side of, turns out it's not that big of a deal. That one comment that my boss told me, or that this one plan got rescheduled. Breathe. This too shall pass. All things do. The moon enters Libra at 4:06 p.m. PST, which does bring our awareness to relationship, partnership, harmony, working together, and knowing in any sort of relationship and any sort of partnership and any sort of team, there is a time and a place for camaraderie and teamwork, while also a time and place for sticking up for your idea, making your needs evident. We don't want to be surrounded by yes men. And that is really not going to be the most efficient, successful team. Is everyone being scared to hurt one another's feelings? Like, we need checks and balances as it relates to any sort of team project, as well as people who are willing to say, I think it would be a better idea if we do this, rather than being so scared of everybody else's feelings that we don't want to rock the boat at all. So it's a delicate balance, because nobody likes the person who is purposefully contentious and starting all sorts of arguments and battles for no reason. But it's also knowing things exist in opposition. Yes, with this week's astrology, certainly, but also all together. Light and darkness exist on a spectrum. Peace and conflict exist on a spectrum. And oftentimes we can think it would be great to just have peace and harmony and get along all of the time, but then no one sticks up for what is right or what is getting off track or what may be a better idea. So it's operating the need for both. Same goes within our intimate relationships as well. Never fighting is not necessarily the sign of a healthy relationship. Sometimes it just represents that we're not willing to fight for it or stick up for ourselves. And as we grow complacent, it's not to say that it is healthy to exist in constant fights within relationships, but it is important to say when something is disrespectful, or say when there's a certain need of yours that's not being met. Like, it's knowing that conflict can be helpful so long as we fight forward, not just fighting in order to be purposefully challenging, but to fight to create a solution or to move forward in some sort of way. And so the Libra moon will trine Pluto in Aquarius, which, yes, can really deepen our desire for harmony and partnership, while also feeling the individuals who empower us, who inspire us, while also noting the data of who drains us as well. On Friday, January 9th, I want to let you know that today is the Mars Cazimi. So earlier this week, it was all about Venus, right? Spotlight. What do I value? What's worth it to me? Who is it that I love? What do I love? How do I value myself? What am I worth? That was the focus in that Cazimi. Now the focus is on Mars, which is, what am I taking action on? How am I asserting myself? How am I sticking up for myself? What is my role in this? Sometimes there's a time and a place around kicking back and I don't chase, I attract. Like, that's Venus energy. And we love that. I would love to know, do you operate more so in your Venus or your Mars? Like, is Venus or Mars stronger in your chart? Which do you feel more comfy in? This is an energy, the Mars Cazimi is, I make things happen for myself. I don't wait for them to happen. Like, this is an energy around going after what it is that you desire. This energy around shooting your shot, around if it is to be, it is up to me type energy. It's this energy around feeling the responsibility of your goals and going after it. And also, like, recognizing I did not get this job in order to be besties with all my coworkers. I did not sign up for America's Next Top Model to be America's Next Top Best Friend. I don't get a medal at the end of this experience if I was the most liked person on planet Earth. You do have to be mindful if you're never making anyone mad, ever. Because you might be making your higher self mad around, why are you not sticking up for yourself? Why are you not going after what it is that you want? Some of us can struggle with ambition, especially if you are a very spiritual person, because we can feel into the oneness of this universal experience. And I'm not saying we need to be like earthbound and cutthroat and capitalistic. That's not what I'm saying at all. But it is important to know that your calling, your purpose will require you to show up for it. It will require you to do the hard things sometimes. It will require you to get to the gym and challenge yourself, even if it's hard, to push yourself, to learn just how much you have within you. We don't recognize that until we push ourselves, until we challenge ourselves, which isn't always pleasurable. Venus energy is all around pleasure, what feels good. Mars energy is what challenges us, which doesn't always feel good. It doesn't always feel good to lift the heavy weight. Doesn't always feel good when your Pilates instructor is telling you, now pulse. Like, it doesn't always feel good at the moment, but you feel so good after. It's so rewarding because you push yourself, you challenge yourself. It's like, okay, universe, God, I was given this one body. Let me sharpen it into the most powerful tool possible. Universe, I was given this particular idea and this gift. Let me pitch this book idea to the different publishers. Like, just because something is meant for us and our calling doesn't mean that we won't have to take an active role in it. And there will be elements of it where we have to kind of befriend this Mars energy. And Mars does absolutely have a shadow side. Like, a lot of people can be assertive to the point of being very aggressive today. People could be a little spiky, be a little spicy. But if you struggle with that sort of energy, if you struggle being mad, sometimes we feel like anger is a bad thing and it needs to be pushed down and subdued. But this could be like a spotlight on our own sacred rage around, this made me mad. And that could be fuel to put towards our own ambitions and our own calling. Or sometimes we completely diminish any sort of competitive energy, which, keep in mind, I'm not saying to live in that. Stay focused on your own race, certainly. But Mars energy is being up for a challenge. And, sometimes our competitors or other people in our industry, it sometimes inspires us to pull more us out of us, to challenge ourselves, to push a little harder. Like, if you are racing against someone, you're going to run faster than if you're racing 100% yourself, because there's a little bit of a motivating factor there. And it's not living in that Mars, getting so obsessed and absorbed by competition, but it's just using it as fuel. Could also be an element here, especially if you really struggle with that energy. I just find a lot of individuals who are very spiritual sometimes completely push down the Mars, which, granted, Mars has a shadow side, right? It can be a very violent energy. It could be very me. I need to get my needs met. I will trample over any boundaries in order to make that happen. It most certainly has a shadow side. I'm not advocating for that whatsoever. But it's also important to know, as spiritual as we are, we came here in these human bodies and we have our egos for a reason. We have our desires for a reason as well. And it will require us to show up for them. There also could be a spotlight on your fitness goals, on your body altogether on Friday. You could feel a rush of motivated energy, inspired energy, shooting your shot energy. Also on Friday, Venus in Capricorn will oppose Jupiter in Cancer. So Friday is Venus Day. And we have the moon in a Venusian sign, Libra. So yes, we are having this Mars spotlight, but there's lots of Venus energy to be found, which is around beauty and harmony and money, and perhaps too much so. Like, Jupiter energy can go a little bit overboard. So you could spend more than you intend to, or even agree to more than you intend to. Put your energy in too many directions, especially if you're trying to be liked by everybody, or you don't want to have an uncomfortable conversation. So you'd rather just say, yes, I'll be there, or yes, I'll do that, rather than acknowledge, hey, I can only be in one place at once. Like with Venus in Capricorn opposite Jupiter in Cancer, it's like being so afraid to rock the boat with other individuals that your boat is sinking. It's this energy around you have to stick up for you, and no one's going to stick up for you the way that you will stick up for you. And the self-betrayal can be the most upsetting part, where it's like, of course, it's frustrating that my boss didn't acknowledge my hard work and instead critiqued me on this. And I've been working so hard and I've been dealing with all of these elements of my life that nobody has any idea about. Like, that absolutely can be upsetting. But the ultimate betrayal within the vibe check was around, and I deprived so much of myself in order to get everything done for everybody else, and it still wasn't enough. Or I put everybody else's needs and comfort above my own, and now I feel depleted with nothing else to give. And it is really beautiful to take care of the people of your life, to show up for the people in your life. But with Venus opposite Jupiter, there just could be an energy around scattering your energy a little thinly. You could also be spending a lot, really indulging in the pleasurable and beautiful things of life. The Libra moon squares Mercury in Capricorn around 4:34 p.m. that evening. So there could be a challenge and a choice point around, do I keep the peace or do I say the uncomfortable thing around, no, I won't be there, or I don't like that idea. Like, there might just be like a little bit of a push-pull there. On Saturday, January 10th, today, both the Capricorn Sun and Mars in Capricorn will oppose Jupiter in Cancer, which, to summarize this energy, it's the energy of being spread a little thin. as it relates to our love energy, our heart energy, our money energy with the Venus opposite Jupiter yesterday, and today with our physical vitality. Maybe you also are not feeling well, or not sleeping well, or other people in your life are not feeling well or sleeping well and you're needing to show up for them, or just an energy around wanting to go after your goals and build the future and achieve your accomplishments, but feeling pulled back from having to take care of household matters and do laundry and do the cooking and do the baking and shop for this person's birthday present. Like, truly, we do want this balance in life. We don't want to get to the top of the mountaintop and recognize that it feels hollow and empty because we deprived every element of our life in order to achieve said success. We do strive for balance in all things, but it can feel frustrating to feel diverted around, gosh, I'm just trying to get this project done, but my child needs my attention here. You could just feel pulled in a lot of different directions. You also could have overcommitted. You know, there was an energy around feeling very passionate or charged up about something around, I'm going to do this project, I'm going to get it done in this time frame. And this could be an energy around, ooh, I was really idealistic, only packing one water or only packing this much trail mix for this particular hike. Like, there can be an energy of grappling with that. And sometimes we do that because of ego, you know, the Capricorn Sun opposite Jupiter in Cancer. I was with my bestie Kelly, and she and I both love to stay active. And we were on a trip together and we saw this hike that we wanted to do. And the All Trails reviews were all like, this is such a hard hike. It's so challenging. I don't know who we thought we were. She's an Aries, so she's pretty fearless herself. I don't know what we thought, but we were like, oh, this will be a piece of cake. I don't know why we thought we were bigger and better than All Trails. It was a hike that started going downhill. So we felt great on the way down. I mean, it was beautiful, stunning landscape and views, but my goodness, the way up almost broke us. We did not say a word to one another just to preserve our energy. It was so hot. We ran out of water. It was so challenging. Like, it felt all good going downhill, but then going straight up for 2.5 miles, we were kicking ourselves. Like, our ego got the better of us, where we're like, that'll be a piece of cake. And then we were in it and we were in too far deep to back out now. And we had to pay the consequence for our inflated sense of ego. Like, I don't know why we thought we were just like these super hikers. I still remember how satisfying it felt for us to go to a gas station right after, and we both like picked out 5 drinks because we were just like so dehydrated. We just couldn't just pick one. Oh my gosh, I just remember that first sip of water just tasted so heavenly after that 2.5 miles of straight up ascent. But, you know, sometimes our ego gets us into certain situations where we agreed to something because we wanted to look a certain way, or we thought we would be able to handle it all and do it all. And sometimes life humbles us because that's what life does. And it's looking for the teaching opportunity. You also could feel like you wanted your weekend to go in a certain way and now you're not feeling as motivated to do so, or you could just feel like you're very pulled off track. You're very diverted. Your energy is being pulled in many different directions. There's many competing priorities within our life, and you could just really feel that today, especially with the last quarter moon in Libra also landing today, the 10th, which it lands around 10 a.m. And this is a last quarter moon. So this is a callback to last week's Cancer full moon. Let me know how that was for you. And it's a check-in point before next week's Capricorn new moon, which, by the way, I'm so looking forward to seeing you all at the Capricorn New Moon Circle. If I will be seeing you there, there's still a couple of spots and a couple of dates and times open. Just in case you haven't heard me talk about it, essentially we're having Capricorn New Moon circles during the auspicious alignment next weekend. And within that circle, you will get your chart and your transits read. At this particular moment in time, my one-on-one readings are closed. So this is the only opportunity to have your chart read by me. And the classes are being kept purposely very small to create a very small, intimate environment and to drop into your personal astrology this year. And we're dropping into it to set intentions under the Capricorn new moon. So set intentions in a very realistic Capricorn way around what's already aligning for you in the year ahead. So being a part of the circle, you will be empowered with the understanding of your transits that you're stepping into within your date of birth, your time, your location, your placements, your degrees, all of that, very unique to you, and feeling inspired around planting seeds of what the cosmos is already supporting you in. So you can check that out below. There's a few dates and times available. These classes are being kept very small purposefully, and when the seats are gone, they're gone. But even if you don't join me, I would encourage you to work with the Capricorn new moon. We'll talk about why next week, but this is the real new start of the year. As we talked about, the new year doesn't begin until March when the sun enters Aries, so no pressure if you're not feeling inspired to set all the goals and things like this, but the Capricorn new moon, the real new beginning of the year. But before that, we have the last quarter moon, and this is around essentially shed and release. It is a crisis of spirit. And with the moon in Libra, it's really around where is it that I am keeping the peace for other people's benefit? Where am I letting other people walk all over me or even take advantage of me? Like that's where the role of Mars is important. Where if we're too much existing in the Venus of it all, we won't stick up for ourselves. We won't enact boundaries. And there is a place for that. Like it is self-preservation ultimately. And so with the last quarter moon in Libra, it could be letting go of this need to be approved or to be liked, which with the ruler of the Libra moon being Venus in Capricorn square Chiron in Aries, also seeking validation from outer means, from your boss, from your career success, from your metrics. Tell me I'm enough. Tell me I'm good enough. Tell me I'm approved of. Tell me I'm liked. Like I said earlier, when we affirm I am enough because of this outer circumstance, we're equally affirming the inverse of that. I am not enough if my outer circumstance is not this. Again, it could be healthy to build confidence in ourselves around I can trust myself to set and reach my own goals, to show up for my commitments. That is where healthy confidence can come from, but it's not finding all of your worth in what is happening out there, as well as being approved of, being liked. People pleasing is really what this feels like around people pleasing around. Of course I can get you from the airport, and of course I could bring the soup, and of course I could do all these things. Granted, it's a blessing to have people in your life to take care of. It's a blessing to have a cat to take care of. And there are some things where it's like these people rely on you. So it's not necessarily people pleasing to bring soup and to bring Professor Whiskers to the vet, right? But there's certain elements in our life where we can feel like we need to make ourselves overly available or overly accessible, or we're so terrified to let anyone down that we let ourselves down by agreeing to too much, by committing to too much, by spreading our energy too thin. And only you can say what that is for you. And so the last quarter moon could also be drawing an awareness to any sort of relationship that throws you off balance, that makes you feel not good enough. You know, we are very sensitive this weekend with Venus squaring Chiron. There could be certain triggering things that transpire in all sorts of our relationships that ping at central core wounds within us. And so there can be an energy of letting go of harmony just for harmony's sake and striving for authenticity, because authenticity is the name of the game when it comes to 2026's astrology. Like 2026 belongs to the trailblazers, the rebels, the weirdos, the eccentric individuals, like people who are authentic. And being authentic means you will be disliked. So it's letting go of any sort of attachment to needing to be liked all of the time, or needing to leave every interaction feeling like you gave that person what they needed from it. Your job is to be you, and sometimes that will entail making people mad, letting people down, annoying people, aggravating people. It's just letting go of the battle that you could possibly be liked by everybody. And this last quarter moon lands with Venus and Mars still huddled very closely to the sun, squaring Jupiter, which of course is squaring the moon. So it's like this cardinal T-square in the cosmos, which can make us feel pulled in many different directions, and just trying to balance our lives. Trying to be liked by everyone, enough for everyone, is a surefire way to ensure that you will not meet the most actualized version of yourself. Like that is the cost. And there just could be an energy around sacrificing your needs for others' needs, which granted within relationships is necessary. Compromise, collaboration, all of this is necessary as it relates to partnering and connecting. But if you are fundamentally, consistently, and persistently putting your needs on the back burner, this could be drawing a spotlight to that and really making you question, what is it that I really desire out of this experience? What is it that I want to build? And do I feel like I'm able to build it within my relationship, within my partnership? There does feel to be a focus on that this week. The Libra moon does bring themes of balance, and balance sometimes could be a bit of an illusion. You know, there may be people in your life where you're like, they balance it. They do it all so well. As I highlighted, I was just in my hometown, so spending lots of time with family, and my sister has 2 boys. My 2 nephews, who are truly the lights of my life. Being an aunt has just been the coolest thing ever, and it's so cool seeing my sister as a mom. She's a Cancer moon. She's just so good at taking care of the people in her life. She's always been like that, and I feel so lucky that I'm her little sister. But she, to me, seems like someone who does it all and handles it all. Like, she remembers the snacks and the diapers and all of the things. And like, here I am, such a mess. I don't even have any children, and I'm still struggling to just take care of myself. I'm just a gal with a YouTube channel. And she is rocking it with her 2 sons, having it all together. House is always clean, fridge full, errands handled, had the most thoughtful Christmas gifts, made an adorable calendar for everyone. I'm like, how does she do it all? And I could barely keep myself together. And there is an ask this week to not get too absorbed by comparison. But it was interesting because if you talk to her, she doesn't think of herself as together, but I think of her as very together. And so it's just knowing the most put together person in your life probably feels like they're a mess on their end. You know, we're all striving to find balance, and in many ways, balance is an illusion. There are certain sacrifices that we have to make here and there. There will be certain days in which we have to give a lot of energy to work, a lot of energy to family, and we're striving for that elusive balance, but it's just giving yourself grace if sometimes that's not possible in the particular season of your life. So we have that cardinal T-square in the morning time, so you could just feel pulled in many different directions. And then at 12:13 p.m., the Libra moon opposes Chiron. So it technically is a bit of a grand cross when we pull in the Chiron in it. So definitely feeling pulled in many different directions. And the insidious part about the Chiron element is this deep inherent story around, I am not worthy. I am not good enough. Everybody else has it figured out, and I am flawed. I am a mess. I am not good enough because I cannot do it all. That's the part about Chiron, is that it can really weave its way into the most wounded parts of ourselves. On Sunday, January 11th, I want to highlight that in the morning time, Venus in Capricorn will square Chiron in Aries, which can be certain pain points around our love life, around our beauty, around our worthiness, around our value, or what it is that we value. We can feel certain triggers come up around something transpires within our relationship, and the wounded part of ourselves, the abandoned part of ourselves, the neglected part of ourselves reacts, right? Chiron's in Aries, which is a very action-oriented sign. So sometimes our wounded self enters the chat before we even recognize. And it makes us show up in ways that are not healthy, whether it's being very defensive, whether it's going on the offense, whether it's being dismissive, whether it's avoiding the issue by busying yourself in work. You know, sometimes if we find a lot of value and we love what it is that we do, this is such a blessing. But sometimes there could be an energy around, this feels hard and sticky, this relationship stuff, so I'm just going to busy myself in work because that feels easier to manage or to handle, or I feel more competent about myself here, versus in this particular arena, I feel not good enough. I feel deficient, and I don't want to deal with that. I don't want to navigate with that. Like I alluded to yesterday, there could be a lot of comparison energy where you could be looking at everybody else's lives on social media and just feeling like they're living this beautiful existence where they don't have to take their cat to the vet, and they don't have to make soup and drop it by, and they don't have to stay late at work. You know, outer appearances are deceiving. All of our lives are raw and messy and a lot. And so it's not getting too caught up in anything that people project. And with Venus energy, financial themes could also come up around, I don't feel like I have enough, or I don't feel worthy of asking for more. I don't know how I'm going to get out of this situation. I feel flawed because of my financial circumstance. I feel stuck because of my financial circumstance, or my nervous system is dictating my financial reality. I just freeze when it comes to a launch. I overthink it. I get scared. Like there can be an element of recognizing where your wounds can be playing a role within your financial reality as well. Or an energy where it's like, I thought I would finally feel safe if I made this amount of money, but now I'm here and it still doesn't feel to be enough. Or I met this particular goal and I still don't feel competent or capable like I thought I was going to feel. Things at the top of the mountaintop, regardless of what your mountaintop is, regardless of what your goal is, they rarely feel how we thought they were going to feel, and they never fix what we think they're going to fix. Like, that's the reality. So there could be some sort of emptiness around reaching a certain milestone, reaching a certain metric, and just feeling a sense of hollowness around, I thought I was going to feel fixed after this. I thought I was going to feel whole after this. To desire things is to suffer. And so this week's astrology does ask for a bit of acceptance, or maybe even being very stoic about it, just kind of like accepting it, and even accepting any feelings of pain or loneliness or not enoughness, recognizing this is just one particular season of my life. And while this loneliness is challenging for me to sit with, I can acknowledge this is a season of my life. This will shift. How I open Magic Monday. We can have it all, but maybe not at the same time. Sometimes there's certain seasons of our life when we're really having to prioritize family. We have little ones who are very young. Sometimes we're putting a lot of energy towards building our business. Sometimes we're putting a lot of energy towards taking care of our parents or something like this. Like, we have to structure our energy intentionally, and there's always grass that seems greener. Regardless of what decisions that you make, there will be times in which other people's decisions look a little bit more glamorous, at least from the outside. And the human nature is to sort of obsess around what it is that we don't have, and to sometimes glorify that thing, thinking that it will solve everything. And it really will be met with its own range of problems and issues. So it's just being realistic about that. It's accepting what is coming up, because there just could be energy around, ooh, it does not feel good to be in my financial reality right now. Or, ooh, I do feel lonely. Ooh, I wish I had more people to connect with. Ooh, I do feel a little bit stuck by my current circumstances. But it's recognizing it's just your current circumstances, and not letting the wounded part of yourself make you feel like you are not enough because of the issues, the problems that you are currently navigating. And it's also knowing if you feel like you are not successful enough, if you are not chosen, if you are not validated by other people, whether it's a boss or a lover, whoever it is, there just could be an energy of your wounded self attaching itself to this and making it part of a bigger story around, see, nobody ever chooses you. You're never enough for anybody. And it's important not to give anybody the power to define you and to define your worth, especially since you're not seeing it clearly right now. You could be not seeing your beauty clearly. You could be like hyperfixating on certain issues or flaws as it relates to your appearance. You could be not seeing your worth clearly. When we don't see our worth clearly, we will feel like we need to prove it to other people. There's a difference between chasing our ambitions and going after what we want versus feeling like we have to prove ourselves. I'll feel good enough as soon as you validate that I am good enough. And it's just acknowledging who brings you into that space around feeling like you have something to prove, because oftentimes that stems back to little you within. Hate to be so deep every time we bring up Chiron, but truly it stems super deep within around trying to rectify or solve certain issues that could have been very traumatizing for a younger version of you. And that's what can make these situations feel so life or death, or so crushing, when we do feel rejected, when we do feel ugly, when we do feel not chosen, because it's part of a bigger infrastructure, of a bigger story around not feeling chosen, not feeling worthy, not feeling validated. So what does it look like to sit with it, acknowledge that this energy will pass? And Sunday could feel a little deep and intense because of this energy, but also the moon enters Scorpio at 2:55 a.m. and then squares Pluto. So there could be some extremes that you are sitting with, and it might just be helpful to acknowledge this too shall pass. And if there is any sort of rejection, you do feel critiqued, you don't feel chosen, you can validate that without leading with that, if that makes sense. Because Chiron in Aries will want to react. It will want to lash out, or it will want to spiral, extrapolating this situation to every other situation within your life and making grand sweeping gestures around your value in the world at large. And the Scorpio moon squaring Pluto can spiral and just contribute to that. So it's just important to bring yourself back to this present moment, breathe, connect to your physical body, alchemize any intense emotions with the Scorpio moon square Pluto, and just let your reminder be, this will pass. All things will. And to a more practical level, like some of us could just be dealing with some Sunday scaries. You could just be feeling a little intense about things. It could just be a trip to the grocery store, but everything feels a little bit more intense because of it, or even just navigating certain pain points around looking at certain prices and just like feeling the cut of it around, what's happening? And am I worthy of buying the more expensive brand, or should I just settle for the beans that I don't really want because they're cheaper? There just could be an intense vibe regardless of how mundane your Sunday events are or how big your Sunday events are. There just could be this undercurrent around not feeling worthy, chosen, validated. And it's just important, if that's coming to the surface, that's just Chiron talking, and this too shall pass. So my loves, that is our week. The Magic Monday mantra of the week to support you as you navigate it is, I give myself grace. Certainly we're in Capricorn season, which can be a time that we are aiming higher. We are climbing to the top of the mountain. We are tuned into our goals and our ambitions and doing the best and being the best with all of our resources that we have been given within this lifetime, which sometimes can bring a lot of pressure, wanting to be the best mom that we can be the best boss that we can be the best friend that we could be. It could put a lot of pressure on us because when we talk about Capricorn, I know my last two vibe checks have been about work. It really is a pet peeve of mine to diminish Capricorn to just around work because it is such a multifaceted sign. It's not just associated with work. It's really around wanting to do our best in whatever our chosen aim is, whether that is parenthood, creativity, artistry, crochet, whatever it is. It does not necessarily need to be business, but there is a pressure with all of this Capricorn energy. I mean, when we have a lot of the cosmos concentrated in one territory of the chart, that could be a lot of obsessive energy going in a certain direction. And so yes, there could be a certain deadline. There could be something that you're working very hard on, and that can feel good. Sometimes it can feel inspiring when we're motivated, we're ambitious, we're shooting our shot, we're challenging ourselves in different ways. But it's just important to give yourself grace because you are not a machine. You are not a robot. You're going to have days where Professor Whiskers needs a ride to the vet and you have to stay home in order to orchestrate some sort of home maintenance. Like, life happens. Give yourself grace as you do life is the ask. So my loves, the emoji to comment below if you did make it to the end of the forecast. Go ahead and comment below the little goat emoji. Shout out to all of my Capricorns during your season, and shout out to all of us just striving to hold it all together this season. My Instagram handle is at Haley Comet Astrology. My TikTok is the same. I would so love to connect with you over there. But if I don't connect with you there, I'll connect with you here. I'll see you again, same time, same place in the cosmic corner of the internet. But until then, drink lots of water and stay magical.